Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Well, the Good Work Foundation is a registered non-governmental organization whose mission is simple. They want to bring world-class education to the rural areas of South Africa. And joining us to tell us more about the Good Work Foundation is CEO Kate Groch. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Now, I'm saying it's a simple mission, but it is not a simple mission at all to bring world-class education. But let's start from the beginning. What led you to actually give yourself that mission?
It's an interesting story. We actually began in the rural parts of the Free State in a town called Philippolis. We were involved in a tourism kind of company called Future Nature, which brought young people from around the world and immersed them in communities to do work in the communities and experience both sides of South Africa, the wildlife and its people. And from there, young people were inspired and used to say, can we raise money for you? And we never had a vehicle to gather this money from. So the Good Work Foundation in the beginning was started as, we've got $1,000, what are we going to do with it? Or we've got 500 Rand, what are we going to do with it? And in consultation with the communities, it always ended up being something to do with education, giving extra science classes, extra maths classes, buying textbooks, school uniforms. So it ended up in the education arena. And I'm a teacher by nature, and so I was a math, science and biology teacher, so most of the time it was in that space.
Now, teaching in the Free State, particularly rural parts of the Free State, what is it that you identified as a gap in our education system?
It's an interesting one, and I think everybody's heard it so many times, but it's, number one, it's infrastructure in some of the schools. But we always say, give me a tree and a great teacher and I'm happier than a smart building. So it's not really the infrastructure that stops these young people. It's often, there's a lack of support both to educators and to the students. And I think sometimes they just feel a little bit isolated. And there's a huge, from our side, a huge urban-rural divide in what is available for young people. The moment you step into the rural space, in the urban spaces, especially in the NGO space, there's a lot of CSI money that gets spent almost in a circle around where big business and banks is. But the moment you go into the rural spaces, what is it that excites a project there? What are those economic exciters that can get things going in a rural setting rather than in the urban space?
Now, in terms of your education program, is there a particular model that you've adopted?
It's interesting. As you know, I'm an educator, and for me, one of the biggest stumbling blocks has always been getting textbooks to, or getting things to the students, and what the sort of the updating of the digital technology and how it's leapt forward in the last little bit has been, for me, just a game changer. And what it can do now is the key to getting all that information now fits in your student's pocket. And so using digital to bring the education out to the students. You no longer have to go from Mpumalanga into Joburg to get education if you have the access.
Now, you can't, of course, speak of education in a new world without speaking of technology and, of course, the digital age. How do you incorporate that?
It's absolutely key to our entire model. And so we have created a digital learning hub. We have over 100 stations, either tablets. The other key is to make sure that any technology just becomes normal for students. It's no longer, I want to finish school and study technology. I want to use technology to study. It's the new pen. And if you can't deal with technology, be it an iPad, a tablet, a cell phone, a computer, a laptop, you won't enter the world of work. We always say to our students, you have to, if you speak the language of English and the language of technology, you'll join the world. Because without those two languages, we battle. And so the model for technology is to use the technology for the learning. It's not the end. It's not what we're learning. Obviously, in the beginning, some of our school learners have never had the chance, so they have a short course in how to. But once they own that space, they can study anything that they want. And so we have, as I said, a number of tablets, all sorts of things, from tablets to the standalone computers. And the kids are using, it's supplementary to school. We're not a school. We don't want to be a school, but we're looking at what are the things missing in the early years of our learners that are making the matrics have trouble with maths or science and those sort of things.
Let's look at the teachers themselves. Is there support that you're offering the teachers to also upgrade and maybe get to a much better level and know how to use this technology?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're vital to the mission, because if we do just the students, number one, we threaten the teachers, because students, they learn these computers really fast. And just a case in point, we've just had a student who's graduated from CUT, and she's a computer programmer, but yet she lives with a mom and a granny who don't read or write in English. So that's the jump this generation is able to make with this access and with what is available to us now in the education sphere. So with the teachers, you have to bring them alongside with the learners. What we do find is that we have the classes we give them a separate time to be there so that they're not in class with their learners, because that also changes the status quo in a classroom. And what we do is we bring them alongside. Number one, they bring their students into our centres with the students to see how we are giving the classes, what we're using. And what we've done is we've created a learning environment that's fun for learners. They don't even realize what they're learning. A lot of it is games, and that's the great thing that you can do now. But now what we've done is we've taken that learning environment back into our local schools. So we set up with the kids with us, but now we've created kids who want to use a computer room. So now we go back, set it up, and the kids drive it to keep it open. But with the teachers, it's about basic computer skills, not feeling threatened by that, because the role of the teacher changes. The moment you bring digital into the space, you're no longer the keeper of all knowledge. You're now a facilitator of what do I do with that knowledge, because these kids have access to more information than we can ever need.
Changing the game completely there, Kate. Thanks 100%. So much for talking to us today.
No,
well, I mean, you've got one open in the Free State and we've extended now to Mpumalanga. What's next for you?
Well, the plan is to focus on our Hazy View one and to make sure that we get exactly what it is, what makes this digital learning centre, what sets it apart. And then we hope that eventually it will become almost like a university of how.
Great stuff, fantastic. Nice chatting to you this morning.
Lovely to meet you.